Oh. Good evening. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 PL 1975, C231 S1 amended 2006 C70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the New Coaster on January 4th, 2019 by email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the Administration Building Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 4th, 2019. Our mission statement: Asbury Park School District will provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Mr. Hastings, roll call, please.
Ms. Breach? Mr. Grillo? Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca?
Here.
Ms. Lozinski?
Here.
Mr. Pinckney? Mr. Saunders? Ms. Etienne?
Here.
Ms. Sabez Anderson?
Here. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Report of committee chairs. Mr. LaRocca, are you prepared to report out for finance, please?
Finance Committee met on November 13th, beginning the process with regard to the 2021 budget. Just pointing out there in the notes under S2, one of the things we have to continue to communicate to the community is the aspect that as the district will need to reduce its spending, we also have to look at the formula set by the state whereby the municipality must increase its share to the schools. And we can get that point over, I think then we can work with other partners within the city as to that revenue aspect of the issue. The second point is the lease at the central office. And again, in terms of keeping our options open and the idea that, we're going to be reducing our footprint over the next 5 years, you'll see on today's agenda, the administration's recommending a 2-year lease renewal at the current location. And you can see the terms there and in the schedule, and the committee unanimously agreed with that recommendation, so that gives us, in effect, I think the lease goes through May, so in effect gives us 2.5 years now, and there was some discussion about all the options being looked at, an option looked at and rejected, and why. So we'll continue to do that moving forward. But the committee felt a 2-year renewal gives us that time to make the overall decisions and an overall plan and moving forward. Third item, yet another audit team has shown up. Item number 4, and again, you'll see on tonight's agenda, request for approval of payment of deductibles for the computer issues that the district suffered. And there was a discussion with regard to that. There's also an update. We are, Mr. Hastings gave a positive report with regard to the wellness initiative currently underway with our current carrier. And again, the new attendance system is now operational.
Thank you, Mr. LaRocca. I am now going to ask our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Mr. Ruiz, in the absence of our chairperson, Mr. Pickney, who's under the weather, to report out on curriculum.
Good evening, everyone. All right, so I'm just going to report on a few items. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on Friday, December 15th. Let me point to you a couple of items off the agenda. Number 13 is an item for one of our students to attend the W.E.B. Du Bois Scholar Accelerated Learning Academy in Princeton. It's a program we've been working with this academy for a little over a year or two now, I think. We've sent students over the summer and throughout the year. So this program is a residential program that happens over the weekends, and it happens over 3 weekends. And we have one student who's going to be attending, and I just got some good news today. So I don't know, Debbie, would you like to tell them how lucky we've gotten?
Sure. We just found out late last night that the student that applied for that program did receive an $1,100 scholarship from the W.E.B. Du Bois Foundation. So the district will only have to pay $1,500.
Yes. So we can change the cost to $1,500, which is nice. It's really exciting. We look forward to continuing that partnership with the W.E.B. Du Bois Foundation. I'm going to point to you number 16. Our high school and middle school students will be attending the Monmouth County Arts Middle and High School to participate in literary, visual, and performing arts classes. We've done this for several years as well. The cost of transportation is included in the cost to participate, and usually we send about 10 students to this program. Number 17, as part of our sustainability efforts, let me just take a look real quick here. This is the one for the Middle School Environmental Club. This came up to me actually at the beginning of the school year, actually in the summer. Mr. Grasso brought it to my attention that he had several people interested in doing an environmental club at the middle school. I know that they've created a garden right between the library and the trailers. So I know that there's been a lot of interest at the middle school to do something with the environment. So they finally put a nice thing together for us. They have about 12 to 15 students who are currently interested. I'm sure once the program gets started, we'll have more. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And also number 23. Excuse me. Okay, the board is recommending that the board approve our K-8 district-wide STEAM curriculum. I know Debbie and her team, as part of one of our district goals, is to bring STEAM, innovative practices, and STEAM being one of them, to all grade levels. But we're starting with this curriculum is starting from grades K-8, and we're working with the high school to finish their curriculum for grades 9 to 12. If you have any questions, please feel free. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I missed that on 17.
Number 17?
Yeah, who's doing the environmental club and who's educating and what's the program again? I didn't.
Yeah,
catch
that will be put that will be put out for someone to sign up for. I mean, we put it out. We're asking to create the club, so the principal was the one that made the request to have an environmental club, but we don't have a teacher that's assigned to it because they have to be hired for the position.
Do we have some type of program in place or what we want to do as far as, plan?
Yes, the principal has put together a plan for an environmental club. I can get that information to you.
It's what exactly we're going to do with it, that's why.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'll get that information.
I do have one more, I'm sorry.
No, it's
On 16,
Yes.
how are you going to choose the students to participate in that program? Is there,
We don't actually select the students. They apply to the program, and then they have to go on an audition and an interview. No, they go to the Monmouth County Arts Program, and they do the audition there, and then they determine which students are accepted into the program.
Other questions?
I just have one. The Disney musical, is that also curriculum? The Disney musical, there's,
Where is that? No, I don't think that's under curriculum.
that's not under curriculum,
Yeah.
and that's,
What number?
it's B4, 6B. There's additional hours, I guess, the individuals.
Yeah, I'm not aware. I'm sorry. That's not under curriculum.
It's not curriculum? Okay.
Before? Yes.
So B4.
When we initially received the partnership, from Disney in schools, we understood that it was going to gradually step down. So everything was provided to us in the very beginning, but we know we needed to have additional staff to ensure that our students are being monitored and cared for appropriately. So that bullet reflects us making sure that we have staffing coverage for our students.
Do you know what the total cost is going to be, what it'll be? Estimate at all? Just asking. And
The program does not run for the full school year, so we'll make sure that the estimated cost is memorialized for you on the upcoming agenda. The program ends, Mr. Ruiz, if I remember correctly, before March.
Yes, before March. It ends before March. And they should be putting on the production soon after.
does that come out of the school-based budget or another budget? The Disney budget?
It's the school-based, school-based extracurricular.
Thank you.
Any other questions for curriculum?
I do. Just so I know if I need to recuse myself or not on this, on B517, does that have anything to do with the Sustainable Jersey for Schools or anything to do with kind of what we're trying to do to achieve certification in Asbury Park schools? Possible?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
possible.
that'll
Yeah.
be a item that's checked off as points towards
Okay.
certification.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Madam Vice President, would you please report out on buildings and ground as you were the chair?
Sure, good evening, everyone. We have a facilities request for volleyball in the committee. We discussed waiving some of the fees, but not the $6,600. The hard costs, we wanted to recoup, so we didn't recommend that. It's currently on the agenda for tonight. Also, Sports Farm has inquired to becoming a Class 2. We asked them to write a letter and that we would consider it. The high school auditorium, there was a problem with oil getting to the condenser. They've come out, looked at it, it's been repiped, and then the warranty has been extended because of that. The CUSAC building walkthroughs, that'll be Bradley, the middle school, and the high school, scheduled for yesterday. And then our president had seen the lights at the stadium on. She had inquired about the lights being on during a time that it didn't seem that the facilities were being used. So we were looking into that. Do we have any questions?
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
Lateral.
sorry I missed that meeting, but what did the committee recommend on the facility? I didn't see any hard costs on the form filled out. So is the committee recommending
Well-
the waiver as it's submitted?
No, one of
No.
the things we're asking is whether they were charging or not. The other thing was how many people were coming, because although we had custodians on, are the custodians having to do any additional work?
Okay, so it wasn't clear, so you're not recommending approval?
No, we're not recommending approval because we had agreed that we would waive fees. I think our agreement was that we would waive fees for people that were in class 1 and 2 and people that had done business with the district and that were nonprofits. So I don't think that they fall into any of that. So that's where we were.
I have a question. They don't have nonprofit status? They didn't provide anything?
No.
And they mentioned in their cover letter that they support the high school program, donated new equipment. Is that true? Do you know of the equipment they donated?
I'm not familiar with the donation. No. Doesn't mean they didn't do it, I'm just not familiar with the donation. But it would have been on the agenda, so.
I just don't recall, so I just didn't know if anybody here, since they mentioned in the letter that they did donate, so I don't know.
Any other questions for Buildings and Grounds?
I just had one, they say they're a nonprofit. They didn't provide any nonprofit paperwork then.
They did not, and they did not check nonprofit on their forms, on
It
the
says in their
application.
letter. So I
Right, but it's
don't know
not
if
checked
you,
on the letter, so we did not ask them for it. The letter was just received.
well, it's not the first time somebody doesn't check off a box. So I just, since it didn't in the letter, I didn't know if you wanted to check with them just to see, because that may change the recommendation from the board or,
So two things happened. One is this application came through and we were having technical issues, computer issues. So I was only able to present the committee with the basic facts surrounding their application. They later submitted the letter and their insurance certificate, and we had talked to them about providing the information in the letter. I don't know if there's a reason to doubt if they state in their letter that they're a nonprofit, but we did not, at the time, have this information to go ahead and check.
Any other questions?
and what's the total cost then? It would be,
So they're looking for, I believe, November through May or June. Let me just pull it up here.
I see April as the last date, but I don't know if that's true.
Right, so the fees are the $300 room rental fees for each Friday from now until the end of April 24th, it looks like.
So does it make a difference if they're a nonprofit as to the cost? I just don't have the facilities use form in front of it.
What happened is that we made the decision based on what we had at that time. And although it's in their letter, do we have any proof that they're nonprofit? Do we have their nonprofit,
We don't have the nonprofit certificate. And they're not a Class 2 user, so
If they provide the nonprofit certificate, does that change the board's decision on whether to charge certain amount of fees? That's what I'm asking. So maybe,
that's
their
the
first
board's
date is
decision.
coming the 29th.
oh, I understand that. So all I'm saying is that maybe we can make, the resolution would read if they provide whatever documentation, then the fees would change, or we should have some discussion about that, because it's not the first time somebody hasn't provided certain documentation and it comes late, or things weren't filled out and we've gone back and asked. I don't know this group, so it's not as if I have any connection to them whatsoever. I just want to be fair with everybody that we do deal with and treat them the same way.
So let me clarify. Class 1 users are the City of Asbury Park and the Board of Education, and the City of Asbury Park includes the Rec Department. Class 2 users are AYF, Pop Warner, Little League, and the basketball, Universal Laws of Basketball. All other users fall under Class 3 and all fees are applicable. So this would fall under Class 3, all fees would be applicable, and it's up to the board to determine if they'd like to waive the fees.
May I? Yes. In our economic state, they should at least pay for the men who have to clean up after them. It just doesn't seem like we should be putting out money to pay for the maintenance of the area after they leave. And it just seems not unfair with our financial situation, to allow that to happen.
So the $6,600 that we're discussing is strictly the room rental fee. They're asking for use while custodians are in the building, and their estimated attendance was about 15 people, so we did not feel the need for additional custodians at that time. So the fee that we're talking about is the room rental fee of $300, but $300 every Friday night over the course of the next 5 or 6 months.
However, the one thing we did discuss was that although it had 15 people, we didn't know whether it was, if they were going to have people coming to observe or anything like that. That's the other additional piece that we talked about during
Right.
the...
So the letter does sort of indicate that there would be some fluctuation in attendance and maybe some coaching aspect, and as well as games. So it's not just, doesn't appear to be just 15 adults coming to play recreational volleyball.
Will they be having their games here too?
Yes, they've asked for use at the middle school. which is the gym that we just refurbished with volleyball accessories and equipment and such.
Yeah, we need to find out some more information.
If I may, Board Policy 7510, use of school facilities, indicates that to the extent a group is looking to have nonprofit benefits or considerations, that policy does indicate that proof of nonprofit status must be provided. And then the policy actually says, for example, an IRS letter of 501c3 status. So the policy does apply here, and it is required under the policy. So to the extent that any group that may come before the board seeking to have consideration as a nonprofit status, they are required under the policy to submit proof prior to that consideration being given.
So could I just recommend we table this and then bring it back next month? I mean, it's just going to be a couple games, and it's for them to just supply all the information that we require.
Making a motion to table?
Oh, but that's not how we do that. Ms. Breach, did you have a comment?
I just want to this group was just a beach volleyball group, because I actually was involved with them several years ago. They started on the beach. They didn't do anything inside, and the reason why I think they're applying now is because we now have a volleyball net and facilities. I'm not aware of their nonprofit status. Like I said, it was just a bunch of people that got together to play on the beach, during the summer and the fall. So my recommendation, just my word, is they should have an EIN number. They should have that letter of nonprofit status before we do anything with it, just to make things sure.
Okay, so it sounds like they can reapply, but the November date is out.
So we could just take it off
They could
take it off the
and they
agenda
They could
and-
reapply with their application in its entirety.
But what our attorney is saying is that at the time of the application, they were to provide that information. Am I correct?
That's correct, but may I make a suggestion? Since there is some inconsistency between the actual application and the letter, perhaps the board wants to consider affording them authorization as a regular organization as opposed to a nonprofit, and then so that they don't miss any games and charge a full fee, whatever the appropriate fee is. To the extent they would like to be considered nonprofit and be afforded the benefits of a nonprofit, they would be required to produce the proof of nonprofit status, and then the board could then reconsider offering them that nonprofit status. That way their schedule is not interrupted to the extent that they have games lined up or children or other participants. We don't want to necessarily penalize them, but at the same time, since they did not provide proof of nonprofit status, I would imagine then that they could be approved as a for-profit, like a for-profit.
Okay, so to clarify, what would happen is they would be charged for that November 29th date, and then in our next meeting, if they provided their nonprofit, then we can vote on. No, but once it's paid, they're not going to get their money back. 29th, we would keep that money. Okay.
Do they have insurance?
Mr. Hastings, they have insurance. So yes, they do.
Yes, we would revisit it and then give them the rest of the dates if we had their nonprofit proof. Agreed?
You still have to make a motion to amend this, right?
Can I make a motion to amend this?
No, if the
Because we're
group,
not
if the
waiving
group,
it in its entirety.
so if the group were to choose to pay the fee for November, I can approve their use without the board's consent because they're paying their fees. If they present their nonprofit status and any other documents required for our December meeting, we can put them on and the board can vote on waiver of their fees based on their status and any additional information that's provided.
Breach. Athletics. Okay, so just put on your mic for the record.
For the record, we did not meet November.
Before we move forward now, we have all three of our incumbents that were reelected. I'd like to take this time to congratulate you, Mr. LaTorraca, you, Ms. Lozinski, and you, Ms. Breach, on your reelection to the Board of Ed. Congratulations. And I see all three of you as a major asset. So thank you. In accordance with Board Policy 0167 is open. No one is here, and so therefore it is closed. The review of regular meeting agenda items.
Good evening, Board. Please advise if you have any questions about items on B1.
I just have a question, if I may. The job creations, could you explain a little bit about the job creation? Because I would assume we do have preschool teachers and aides, so I'm not quite sure.
Yes, so we're, by the code, our ratio should not exceed more than 15 students in a classroom per teacher. And we are fortunate in that our early childhood program continues to grow. So the need to add an additional class is now there. Because we need an additional class, we're also required to have a paraprofessional. And so that's why that's why these positions are here.
So you have to memorialize an additional staff member or a position in preschool to add them then? That's what my confusion was, that's all.
Yes, because we need to open up another classroom. We had collapsed it, but we now must have it to be in compliance with the code and the regulations. Any questions regarding any items on B2?
I have one. The academic coach, is that for all sports, or is this academic coach specifically for fall sports right now? That's my question.
The academic coach will be in place for all sports. Items on B3?
Question? Jay, is that the junior or senior? Yeah, the athletic volunteer. Which Kendall is that?
The father. The councilman, yes.
And I'm sorry, I have a question. He's volunteering for which sport? It doesn't say which sport he's volunteering for.
It would be for basketball. Any questions regarding any items on B4? B5?
I just have one, since we just got the job description revision, I didn't take a look at it, I didn't have time this afternoon.
Your page, please, Ms. Leach. Ms. Lozinski, excuse me.
That's B5, isn't that what we're on, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you explain the changes, because I didn't get the,
Yes, because in 12B, we have a director of athletics, as opposed to an athletic liaison. That job has responsibilities that previously were folded into 12A, and now 12A has been revised to reflect that it's now all, those athletic responsibilities have been transferred into the job description for 12B, as well as a couple of bullet points were added in 12A.
thank you very much.
Any questions regarding items on B6? Okay, seeing as though there are none,
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
you're welcome.
Mr. Hastings?
Thank you, Madam President. Be happy to take any questions on items, pages C1 through C5, and I'd like to point out on C1, the donation from Anastasia Thermos of various clothing, shoes, toys, books, et cetera, to the board.
Questions?
I have one question about.
Ms. Lozinski?
In reference to Acelero, what exactly is the memorandum about? Didn't they used to have a preschool or a school?
Acelero is the Head Start program, so they have a preschool in town. And the attachment C14 is the collaborative agreement between Acelero, Monmouth and Middlesex County, and the Asbury Park School District. So it's just reaffirming the partnership between the two for the Head Start program.
Is there an actual contract with them, or is this it?
Yes, we have a separate contract that's done through preschool for each of the providers that's much more substantial than what you
That's
see
what I
here.
was wondering about. 'cause
This is
this
just
like
an
one
agreement
page
that-
thing that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hastings.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Are we here?
Yep.
I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All seated and ready to go? Good evening, everybody. How are you? And happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to open the meeting, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Breach because she does have an announcement about Thanksgiving. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 PL 1975, C231 S1 amended 2006 C70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to Asbury Park Press and the New Coaster on January 4th, 2019 by email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the Administration Building Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 4th, 2019. Our mission statement, Asbury Park School District will provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Mr. Hastings, roll call, please.
Ms. Breach? Here. Mr. Grillo? Here. Ms. Jones? Here. Mr. LaRocca? Here. Ms. Lozinski? Here. Mr. Pinckney? Mr. Saunders? Ms. Etienne? Here. Ms. Alves Anderson?
Here.
Oh, stand reflexively, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And acknowledge, okay, not that kind of presentation. Yeah.
So no one is.
No, I would like to mention, 2 weeks ago, Asbury Park High School was recognized by the VNA, the Visiting Nurse Association, for their continued work at the spot. This awards program occurred at, specifically on the night of our emergency board meeting, hence we weren't able to attend. But at that meeting, we had representation there, thank you, from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, and 2 members were there to accept this beautiful award that I will pass around. And so I wanted to just acknowledge and make sure that the board was aware that this was, we were recipients because of our continued work in the spot and for being community partners and having had a long-standing partnership with the spot at Asbury Park High School. So it's definitely a wonderful, pardon? Can you read that? Yeah, it was definitely a wonderful night. Glad that one of our supervisors, Janice Kropowski, as well as our community involvement specialist, Sonia Irizarry, was able to attend and accept this on behalf of the Board of Education. The award says the Visiting Nurse Association of Central Jersey Community Partner Award presented to the Asbury Park School District in appreciation for your partnership and collaboration with VNA of Central Jersey and the community, 2019. So it's wonderful that we are able to continue and sustain these partnerships. So that's just coming around now, and that completes what's listed under the presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Ms. Breach?
For the record, I just wanted to remind everybody, we don't have a large attendance public, but for APTV and everybody else who watches our board meetings, next Thursday, we are going to have our annual Thanksgiving game at the Asbury Park High School. The game time is at 10 a.m., bright and early. So we'll hopefully have our snack shack up and ready with some breakfast goodies, and we are playing Neptune, and it's time to bring it back home where it belongs. So next Thursday, 10 a.m. at the stadium.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Breach. Now, if I may, have your attention, please.
Our student representative is here this evening, and I had tasked her with to do a survey of what the students would like, and so she is here, and if you could give her your full attention, please. Thank you.
I was asked as student representative to go around the school and ask students about the activities, our clubs, and our programs. I asked them 6 questions, and the two important ones to me was, do you feel heard, and what do you want to see more of? These 2 questions were most important to me. They asked with the students, it doesn't ask, sorry.
It's okay. You got this.
It asks what they want, not just their opinions. Do you feel heard? That's crucial. If a student doesn't feel like they're heard or that their problems aren't listened to, they will fail to ask. Nothing will get done, and that can be a possible effect on their learning and involvement in school. The activities that will want the activity that they want to see more of, I can see why the replies were college trips or more sports or even like arts program. Students in our high school are really talented and artistic. If we can feed into their talents and embrace that, we can give an opportunity. Everything in our school is limited. Not everyone is into the same sport or hobby. We should be able to give them that option. And this goes into how everything's limited. Only seniors and I believe some juniors are only able to go on college trips or tours. They're not the only ones who want to plan out their future. Just because I'm a freshman or a sophomore doesn't mean I'm not ready to look into my options. College is just the next step after high school. Not that everyone wants to go, but for the ones who do, they don't get the choice, and I think that's terribly unfair. I've witnessed the neglect and the lack of support from adults, and this goes into being heard. And for all students, we have some bright students, and we should and want them to be able to say, I went to Asbury Park High School. They introduced me to a new light, and when it comes to college, we should be teaching these kids how to reply, how to save college and how to save for college and the do's and don'ts of that. And I've experienced it hand-on because when I was in 8th grade, I went on a college tour with the community YMCA. But when I look into the high school, it's only the seniors and maybe juniors. And I believe that everybody should get that opportunity and not just a variety of students. And it's okay. I think we should ask for the community because when they give to us, we can give back. So it's okay to ask for that. And I think college, especially because that's really the next step, college is really important to all students, even if not all of them want to go. And for me as well, I'm not able to go on college tours anymore. Even if I ask, we're not really being heard. They're going to make up an excuse or say, or it's not going to get done. And I think that we should present that opportunity with students. And the Community YMCA, I'm going to keep mentioning that because I think it's a great program that all students have the ability to participate in. And they teach you a lot of valuable things like FAFSA, things you can use to save for your college funds, what to apply to, what to look out for, scams and whatnot. And I think that's really important. And right in front of you is the surveys and some of the responses. And for the Do You Feel Heard and the activity you want to see more of, I only put in the negative responses because with the negative ones we can improve in, and the positive ones we already know that they're good. So let's just focus on what needs to be worked on. And I hope I did good because it's my first time doing a report.
Yes, you did very well.
Thank you.
Yes, you did. Okay, so, are you through?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's no need in you asking. I hope you did. We're looking here at your survey, and you took the time out of your schedule to interview and then to put this together. So yes, you did an awesome
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any questions?
Yes, let me remark that I think you're perfectly correct, that kids, even in the 8th grade, should be going to see colleges and see what's there on the other side of high school. It might be a good stimulus for them to perform at a higher level if they know what colleges are like, what the housing situations are, and it'll put more weight on it, I think, for the younger kids too, so that they'll aim a little higher.
And yes, Madam Superintendent?
To your point, Ms. Jones, duly noted, we actually have implemented College Day as a complement. So we have Career Day because we understand that all students will not go to college. But we also know that there's a lot of research around students, particularly that come from marginalized or underrepresented or have an underrepresentation at the college and university level in terms of being exposed to conversations at a very early age around college. As a result, we've started College Day in pre-K all the way up to 12th grade in our schools, where it may be something as simple as staff decorating their doors in their school colors, because we want kids at an early age to understand, yes, your teachers have gone to college, and start these academic and college aspirational conversations to also complement when we have on career days for those students that will not be going to college. There's a pathway for you. So we continue to expand out our College Day experiences for our students. But it is duly noted because college preparation does not begin in high school, and certainly it does not begin as a junior. So duly noted. Thank you so much for a comprehensive report.
Dr. Rocca has a question for you.
How many responses did you get?
I got 36 responses. I wasn't able to, since it was my first report, I tried to keep it small so I can handle it. So I asked the students in my class, and I think the 11th Dream Academy students as well. Because they get more, I feel like they get more opportunity just because they're in the Dream Academy. Even though we have the Honor Society, the Dream is targeted as, I don't want to like come for them, but special when they're like every other student. There's bright students outside the Dream Academy, and they should also be given that opportunity.
Ms. Breach?
Can I have a breakdown of juniors, seniors, sophomores, and freshmen that are involved in the Dream Academy? Do we have that, like the total number of students?
I know that there's 4 cohorts, and we are the 4th one, the Dream 9. When we get to our junior year, we'll start our classes in Brookdale. Right now, we have a free period. Usually supposed to do Freshman's Focus, where Miss Joanne from the YMCA is supposed to come in. But we don't start that to our, I think, junior or sophomore year, so we're not gonna be able to get any college input until those 3 years or so.
Can I ask you a question personally? You're a junior now, right?
No, I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman. Okay, some of the, excellent. Wow. A lot of the responses that I read, that they want to take more trips and things like that. Give me an example of what type of trip that you, as a freshman, would like to take with your Dream Academy members?
I'm not sure, maybe something educational, maybe to a museum or so, or to maybe HBCUs, or I don't know, maybe like a day where we just go somewhere for fun, just to relax and get the stress off of us from high school.
So if you had a choice, you'd rather go to a museum or go have some fun, or maybe kind of both, like?
Yeah, kind of both, like for something productive that will be fun but also educational. Like,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Madam President? Yes. If I may, Ms. Sylvia is also going to lend some background for Ms. Breach's question.
So in the Dream Academy, we do have the 4 cohorts. We have 16 students that will be graduating as seniors this year with their associate's degree. The freshman, sophomore, and junior cohorts have about 22 to 24 students in each of those cohorts. We've lost very few students from those 3 cohorts, so we're really seeing progress with that. And I just do want to make a note that we do have sophomores that participate in our college mentoring program. They do that through our Project BAM. They go every 2 weeks to Monmouth University, and they take part particularly to prepare them for transitioning into college and learning about college experiences and departments at the university that they'll need for resources. We have limited most of our college trips to juniors and seniors in the past, mostly because of transportation and fitting kids on the bus and chaperones. But we will revisit that because I believe you raised a very good point, and there's no reason not to include our younger students in those visits. So we'll look at changing that practice. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes her report. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, we're very proud of you.
I do have a question.
Oh,
though.
I'm sorry, Mr. Grillo.
So, first of all, these responses are just indicative of how thoughtful that the student body is, right? I particularly like the chill day. So what would a chill day be? Would that be something in school or a chill day somewhere else?
Maybe in school because not to take away from school hours, but people or particular kids may want to run around and not do so.
Okay. Sky zone. And then the other thing was about art because, especially Asbury Park that is known for obviously for its music, but also for its visual arts and everything going on. Have the students spoken about? Have any of them expanded upon that in terms of?
I heard some kids mention because we do have I forgot what it's called. I think it's technology, or I'm gonna say that because I don't know what to call it. But there's no like drawing arts or like maybe like even computerized like animation and stuff. There's really none of that in our school. So I think that'll open more doors for more students.
Cool. All right. There's an anime club.
No, there isn't one.
There was still one.
I hadn't heard of that.
All right. Great job. Great job.
Okay, thank you very much. Awesome job. And she's only a freshman. Madam Superintendent, your report, please.
Yes, the report regarding our student enrollment, if you take a look at that, we know that we have had a declining enrollment. However, we're noticing that we've been pretty stable month to month in our respective schools. As we've had conversations about specific buildings, we know that our lowest enrolled building continues to be our lowest enrolled building, hence the shift to the restructure for pre-K to third grade to elementary school centers. So we remain stable in that regard. We haven't noticed an influx or any data points that should suggest any change from that approach. Our student attendance has been fairly consistent, although we do see lower student attendance in one of our schools, and so we'll be continuing to monitor to see what may have impacted that. Also being mindful that October 15th is our reporting time, and so we may have had some students that enrolled initially, and then as the month carried out, students may have made transfers in and out, which may be the cause for where we see a little dip in our attendance there. If you turn to page 2, you look at the student population by ethnicity, and we do a year district comparison. So if you're looking at October 2018 compared to October 2019, you'll notice that our demographics are changing in the district. When we talk about equity, we tend to talk about it from the lens specifically as it relates to supporting our marginalized or underrepresented groups. However, we notice that we're having an increase in our demographics here amongst our Hispanic, white, and now we have another category in our district called multiple, where we're seeing students that are fitting into that category. So we continue to provide programs and supports that are extremely comprehensive, one being, as our wonderful student rep talked about, the Dream Academy, but we also have the College Promise Program. The College